This week on Talk Shop, we're going to be installing this high flow intake system into this Monte Carlo. The first thing the guys are going to do, as always, is disconnect the negative battery cable, and then they're going to follow these instructions, and they're going to get this thing in.
All right. I'm going to disconnect the negative battery terminal here.
Now, one thing you're going to notice with these things is they say that you will get horsepower increase, and you'll also get better fuel economy if you drive it without pushing it too much. Now, according to this one here, it is a 3.8 liter vehicle, and it's going to increase horsepower by approximately 13.3. Torque is going to be about 13.42 foot-pounds of torque, so that's not bad for approximately $300, and that's pretty clean. I'll talk a little bit about the product itself. K&N has been around for a long time. They probably make one of the best air intake systems I've ever seen. When you buy a K&N filter, it's already pre-oiled, ready to go into the vehicle. They will give you everything that you need to insulate your housings and also seclude the air box so that it only takes in the air that's required around it, so it's not taking in any hot air from the motor. One other thing you may want to do is buy yourself a K&N Recharger Kit, which is a cleaner. You've got a cleaner and an oil in here. This kit, you probably want to do this at the end or at the beginning of every season, right? You'll have a cleaner and a lubricant. The guys are going to install this thing, and we're just going to pay attention on how they do it. It looks like a very, very straightforward install. Most installs take about an hour to an hour and a half.
You got to be careful not to hurt the mass airflow sensor.
What they're doing right now is they're taking out the air temperature sensor that's in that air intake hose. Then they'll be taking out the whole box and then installing all these little pieces that are required. They're going to follow it step by step right out of the manual. If all goes well, this will be running within the next hour. And hopefully we'll get a chance later on to put this on a dyno just to see if there really is a horsepower increase from the factory settings. And a lot of times you may want to upgrade your fuel. So if you're running just a regular unleaded, you may want to put a premium in and just see if there's a difference.
I'm just taking out the air box. Sometimes they're just a little difficult. They're just wedged in there.
This one's got a wire harness running through it.
Wow. I think that air filter did his job. Holy smokes, can I see that? Okay, and this brings us back just to regular maintenance. Okay, this air filter obviously has been left in there for a long time, knowing that we were going to put this K&N filter in, but maybe it should have been checked earlier because there's a lot of debris in here, and this oil stain right here that you see is because it does have an oil layer on it, okay, to grab all the dirt before it gets through the filter. So this air filter has done its job. It's really got its value out of this air filter. This one here is plugged, so it's like basically saying, you know, I want to get more fuel economy, but look at it this way. When you have a cold and your nose is plugged and you can't breathe properly, picture your engine trying to get that air into it and it can't. So you're going to burn a lot of gas and not enough air. So that's the factory air box that Vin's taking out right now. And that has probably another tube attached to it down below where it takes the air from outside and brings it into the motor. So one thing I will talk about here is air volume in a motor. The more air you get into the engine, the more efficient it is. So when you compare the size of the air intake just in this piece and the one that we took out, it's going to take in double the amount of volume, which means that the more air you get into the motor, the leaner it runs. A perfect mixture ratio for an engine is 13.7 pounds of air to 1 pound of fuel. If you can maintain that, you're going to get exactly what your fuel economy should be. So if it says you're going to burn 8 liters per 100 kilometers, then you will, if you drive according to what it says and you got the proper air getting into it. A lot of times guys will make their own product and they'll try and make a cold air intake. Sometimes it doesn't work. They actually restrict it and give it less power. And sometimes they give it too much air, and then when you got too much air and not enough fuel in it, you can burn the engine out. This vehicle here and this kit is made to match. So this way you've got the right product going in the right vehicle.
Just go ahead and tighten this up first, make sure it doesn't hit anything in the frame.
Okay. Now it's always good just to double check. There's no wires hitting the sharp edges here and any of the harness. And just kind of give it a quick wiggle, make sure nothing's falling off. And we're going to put this rubber grommet here It protects the edge.
Looks like when the hood's down, that also insulates and seals it from any debris getting in, doesn't it? Now, the reason why we kind of mentioned cold air is outside air is going to be a lot cooler than the air that's under the hood. So when you seal off the unit like that and you can draw the air from outside, you can get a lot more air molecules packed into a small area that are cold than a lot of hot air molecules. When you look at something like hot water versus cold water, when something's boiling, it's expanded all over. When something's cooler, it's contracted. Okay, so before we start the engine, we got to connect up the negative cable. We're going to take a listen to make sure there's no air leaks or anything just rattling. We want to make sure it's smooth. Then we'll take the car for a test drive and feel the difference in power.
All right, ready to start it?